All right, if you're gearing up for the ACCA exam, or hey, maybe you just want to get your head around a massive business concept, then you've come to the right place. We're going to break down agency law in the next 5 minutes. It's the secret sauce behind how so much of modern business actually gets done. So let's jump right in.
Okay, let's kick things off with a bit of a brain teaser. How can one person, say a CEO in London, sign a massive deal while at the same time finalizing another huge contract over in Shanghai? I mean, it sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, right? But believe it or not, this kind of thing happens all the time, and it's all thanks to a really clever legal concept.
And here it is, the answer to our puzzle, the agency relationship. It's basically a legal superpower. You have one person, the principal, who gives another person, the agent, the power to act for them. And here's the magic part. When that agent makes a deal with a third party, it's exactly as if the principal did it themselves. It's legally binding. Problem solved. So a really great way to think about this is that an agent is like a business multiplier. They literally clone the principal's ability to get things done. Suddenly your reach, your power to sign deals, it isn't limited to where you are physically. You can be everywhere at once. It's absolutely fundamental if you want to scale a business. But, and this is a big but, you can't just snap your fingers and make someone your agent. This is a serious legal setup, and it has to be created in a way that the law actually recognizes. So, how do you do it? Well, let's dive into the different ways this relationship can be formed. Okay, so there are basically 4 main ways an agency relationship can come into being. You've got it by agreement, by estoppel, by necessity, and by ratification. Now, especially for that exam, you're going to want to know what makes each of these unique. So let's break them down.
First up, the most common and easiest one to understand, by agreement. This is exactly what it sounds like. The principal just gives the agent permission, either in writing or even just by saying it out loud. You know, hey, I need you to go do this for me. Super straightforward. Most agency relationships are born this way. All right, now for one that's a little bit trickier. It's called estoppel. Think of it as agency by appearance. It happens when the principal does something that makes a third party think someone is their agent, even if they never officially said so. If that third party then relies on that belief, the law says the principal can't just turn around and say, nope, wasn't my agent, to back out of a deal. And the key thing to remember here, it's all about what the principal did or said, not what the supposed agent claimed.
Then we have agency by necessity. Now, this one is pretty rare. You don't see it every day. It's basically an emergency-only situation. The classic example is a delivery driver with a truck full of fresh fruit that's about to go bad because the truck broke down. To save the principal from a total loss, the driver might have to sell the fruit right there on the side of the road. In that moment, the law says, yep, they've become an agent out of sheer necessity. And last on our list is ratification. This one's really cool. It's like a legal time machine. Imagine someone goes out and makes a deal for you, but they had absolutely no permission to do it. But it turns out it's a fantastic deal. By ratifying it, you basically give your approval after the fact. It zaps back in time and makes the contract valid from the very beginning, as if they had your permission all along. Okay, so now we know the 4 ways to create an agency, but that's just step 1. The really big question, and trust me, this is huge for your exam, is what can the agent actually do? How much power do they have? It all boils down to one word, authority. And this is probably the most important distinction you need to grasp. Actual authority versus ostensible authority. Actual authority is pretty simple. It's the power the principal actually gave the agent, whether written down or just spoken. But ostensible or apparent authority is the power a third party thinks the agent has based on what the principal has led them to believe. And get this, even if the agent goes beyond their actual authority, the principal can still be legally bound by the deal if there was ostensible authority. That's a huge deal. So all of this leads to the ultimate question, right? When the ink is dry on a contract, who's actually responsible? Who gets sued if things go wrong? Is it the principal? The agent? Let's get to the bottom of who is held responsible. This little table here is your golden ticket to understanding liability. Look, scenario 1 is easy. If the agent acts with authority, the principal is bound by the contract, and the agent, they're totally off the hook. But check out scenario 2. If the agent acts without authority, the principal is usually not bound, and now the agent is in hot water. The third party can sue them for something called breach of warranty of authority, which is just a fancy legal way of saying, hey, you lied and said you had the power to make this deal when you didn't. Phew. Okay, we've moved fast and covered a ton, so let's boil it all down. If you remember nothing else, remember these key points. Think of this as your final briefing before the mission.
All right, here are your key takeaways. 1. Agency lets a principal be in 100 places at once. It's a force multiplier. 2. It's all about authority. You have to know the difference between actual authority, the power that was given, and ostensible authority, the power that appears to be given. 3. The principal is on the hook when the agent acts within their authority. Simple as that. And 4. An agent who acts without authority, well, they can become personally liable to that third party. They're the one in the hot seat.
And I want to leave you with one final thought to chew on. These laws were written way, way before anyone was even thinking about artificial intelligence. So what happens now when an AI algorithm makes a multi-million-dollar deal for a company? Who's the agent? Is it the AI, the programmer? And who's the principal? It's a massive question, and it just goes to show you that these old legal ideas are more relevant to date than ever.